Now let's look at another variation of Ashi, the outside Ashi, okay? We'll look at the standing version first. And really with this position, as long as your opponent doesn't have a heel hook grip, it's relatively safe, okay? And if you're standing also, it's a pretty safe position to be in. Okay, so there's not a whole lot of danger that he can do from here, when his feet are on the outside when he's standing up, or if he doesn't have a heel hook grip already. Okay, and so from a position like this, if his hips are high, the only thing I want to try to avoid is him stomping down on his foot and putting me down to a hip. So I have to be aware of my body position. I want to orient my body in a way where I'm not too far over this way where he sits me down. Okay, he can start putting me down to a hand. Okay, and even though we'll look at the seated version, even though from here, if he doesn't already have a heel hook, it's relatively safe. Okay, if you know how to hide your heel from this position, it's relatively safe. So let's just stand up again. So from here, he has his feet to the outside, and we're in the outside Ashi. I keep my head off at a slight angle. Again, I'm not too worried about a reap here because his feet are on the outside. Now I look to start exposing my opponent's ankles, okay? So I have my second foot out and away. I never want to present the second foot. That's never going to really change. We always keep our foot out and away and our head in this position here. And now I start looking to get to my opponent's feet. Split his feet any way you can. It's split here, get your hands to the Achilles, and now we split our opponent's feet from here, okay? If you can split the feet, now it's pretty easy for us to just start stepping around, okay? So that's relatively easy. Now, a lot of times, your opponent will make it hard for you to split your feet. It doesn't want you to split the feet here. And so what we'll do under these circumstances is start driving the hips forward, and then from here, I push everything down and away, and I stack my opponent like so. As I stack my opponent, I focus on keeping the webbing of my hand right in the Achilles, and I start moving out to an angle like so, okay? And I try to put his feet on the floor. When I go and I put his feet on the floor, I turn my knee right into his stomach, and I look to get my other knee wedged in right behind his hips, okay? And then now from here, we can go in, and again, we take our time cooking our opponent in this position. Bunch of different things that we can do from this position, back takes wise, counter leg locking wise, but the main emphasis is how are we going to get free from this position. Now from here, we go in, we can start using our knee as a wedge in my opponent's in my opponent's knee. And from here, when he goes to move around, as long as I collect his hips, I keep his shoulders, the hips above his knee, it's pretty hard for him, okay? Yep. And then from here, we look to extract our leg, and we start moving around. So we use the stack position to tire our opponent out and make him uncomfortable on bottom. He's going to be reluctant to hold on to that Achilles grip as long as possible, because the more he holds on, the more he's carrying my body weight, the more I'm compromising his breathing, the more I'm making him uncomfortable. And so we can often use that stack position as a way to cook our opponent and generate either back exposure or just extract our leg and go through and get our leg completely free. You can also split the legs and just hit the back step like we saw. So from here, I saw it turn my hips out to the side. I start splitting my opponent's legs, and if I can do this, we can hit a pretty easy back step. If we can get our opponent into a good stacking position, now from here, there's a whole bunch of different things that we can do. I generally like to start moving out and away, exposing my opponent's low back to my knee and holding it in place. And now from here, there's a whole bunch of different things that we can do. But oftentimes your opponent, the more you pressure him in these situations, the more you keep his hips above his shoulders. When he goes to move around, it's so tough, and we can take our time, look to start extracting our leg, whenever we get a chance, and then from there, we start moving around. So just using a splitting of the legs to either back step on our opponent or stack them, and then just cook them in that position.